In one of my last videos, I talked about wanting to help you guys find your first valid submission for bug bounty hunting or just getting you started in ethical hacking and web hacking. So I've been sitting down and reading a lot of the comments, and in a lot of cases, I see people that are mostly confused about the next steps of identify the program, where do I go next, how do I find bugs, and so on. And there's different approaches to that. I think I've covered a bunch of them, like approaching the company from an automation perspective and doing recon, to just looking at the application on your own and kind of looking at what the main application looks like and finding vulnerabilities. But then taking a step back and looking at all my contents, I've realized that there is a little bit of a few missing bits and videos or content, whatever you want to call it, that could help you guys to find your first valid submission. And I think one of the most crucial things to know as a hacker, and I think in life in general, that is very, very useful to know, is how to use Google and doing Google Dorks. And I think that's a great place for us to start and doing a video on it and talking about how to use Google to not only look for information that you want, but also how do you leverage Google to find a good submission or actually a lead that could potentially be a vulnerability of some sort. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump into Google and we're going to look at how Google indexes their search queries and how you can leverage that to find something that could lead into a potential vulnerability. So the first filter that we want to talk about is the site filter. This is the filter that allows you to pretty much describe what website you want to include in your search results. So by saying example site is ibm.com, what Google is going to do is it's going to actually take IBM and make it the only place that it's going to be searchable within this result. So no other websites other than ibm.com is going to be shown within our search results. So the next thing we want to do is we kind of want to take a look at this result. And if we scroll down, we can see there's a lot of the www, cloud, research that keeps coming up over and over again, and it's kind of flooding our results. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the top and we're going to actually exclude it by doing this tag or minus sign and saying, hey, I want to exclude something like video, www, research, and cloud. So by doing that, you can see immediately, let's do this, it's going to exclude those subdomains within our search and they're no longer showing up in our results. So another one we want to do is careers, for example. We can do that, and right off the bat, you can see that that is also gone and we no longer are seeing the search results from it. So the next thing we can do here is we can kind of poke around and see what's interesting. A lot of people that I know, honestly, what they do is they just keep removing these. So they keep adding more and more subdomains that are not interesting to them until they kind of run out of results or things I want to look at. That's the way to do it. But I honestly think there are better things to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to keep these right here. But what we're going to go to next is looking at the in URL query, which means, hey, I want you to show me everything within in our search results for site ibm.com. I want it to have a particular keyword in that URL. So for example, we can say API, and now you can see that all of these results have the word API within them. Again, we can exclude this parasite and we can exclude developer. And you can see that it's giving us anything that has IBM within it. We can add more stuff like maybe we're looking for a V1. If that's available, it's going to give it to us. So right here, we can see that it's giving us a dead subdomain now, but previously there was an API in the URL, and then there is V1 somewhere in there as well. So next, what we want to do is we can either play around with this, but we're going to come back to in URL. But the next thing we want to take a look at is maybe we can just do an in URL login and see what comes up and maybe narrow our search down based on the results of this. So for example, we can see some interesting domains like right here, there's this edst.ibm that's hosting Jira. Jira is typically an internal tool. Sometimes it's open to the public so their partners can use it, but typically it means that it is an internal tool that a lot of companies use. But we're going to take a note of that, but we'll come back to it later. We can keep going down. We can see there is some portal login, more Jira, digital learning platform, workflows like tools at IBM. But what if we wanted to look for something that maybe in the title says something like dashboard? So we're going to type in dashboard. That didn't work. Maybe we can do something like we want to find every instance of Jira. And when we do in title, it's going to look for anything within the title that says Jira in it. and has the keyword logging in the URL and show it to us. So obviously we can exclude this, we don't need to, but I just want to show you how you can combine these different parameters or search queries to narrow down your search and find something interesting. So for this one, we found Jira, but what if we do something like admin maybe? That didn't work. Or we can do something like entitle tool or tools. Anything comes up, maybe nothing comes up, but that's just an example of the things you can look for. So far we know how to do in URL, we know how to do title, and we also know how to narrow our sites down. But let's take a deeper look at, maybe you want to look at something like within the edst.ibm site that has login. But what if we get rid of this in URL for now? And what if we want to look for a particular extension or a file type? We can actually do that by typing in file type is maybe JSP. If anything comes up, there are some results for it. Or maybe we can do something like don't use that screen because my IP is on here, please. Maybe we can do something like PHP, and maybe nothing comes up. Let's remove this result just to see if anything comes up for it. Maybe this time it comes. So we have to be careful of how narrow our search is, but we can see that file type PHP came up on IBM.com. There's a login page, there's this newsroom, but it's just different ways you can create these quote unquote leads for yourself to find potential places to look for vulnerabilities. So what if we want to do a file type, but then in URL we want to have login? I don't think anything's going to come up because we only have 4 results for PHP, but let's give it a try. And we can see it still came up with something under this learn IBM and this other dev learn IBM. So there is chances of it coming up. So you have to look at it and see what comes up. But file type isn't the only way you can do that. You can actually do extension or ext. You can say PHP. It gives you similar results. I do both. I don't think you're going to miss anything if you do one or the other, but you got to be safe than sorry. So you can do both. But let's remove our own URL and see what comes up for PHP one more time. Same results. We can also do something, maybe look for DO files, and that also brings us more sites. The point of this is to just practice doing Google searches to find information about our targets. You can also do the same thing, for example, for a particular website. Just say you want to look at something along the lines of like the tools.ibm site. You can get rid of all this, and it could just give you all of these different URLs. But what if you just want to look for app.tools.ibm.com? You can also do that. Sometimes you'll be surprised how many endpoints are being leaked from just putting the domain name right here into Google and putting site and then domain name. Sometimes you will see registration come up, you will see some HTML comes up. There's some information that could leak how the application works because it's been cached by Google itself. So for example, if we click right here, we know that there's a settings page. Even though we're not logged in, we can set some settings sometimes. And to be honest, there has been times where I found some dashboards that were cached like this, that it kind of gave me an idea of what the site looks like. And in some cases, there was some on-off functionality that helped me get access to that particular app. So you want to always learn how to Google for these different things and kind of put that into a practice of always Googling your site, your parameter, your environment, and so on. But speaking of parameters, you can also do the same thing. If we're looking at our search right here, what if we wanted to just take a look at every parameter that could be within the search? So what we're going to do is we're going to say in URL, and we're going to look for this exact and sign. And what this does is typically in a URL, let me open this up, we have our site.com, some path to a file, and in some cases you have a parameter, maybe you have an extension, but you have a parameter, then you have some value for it, and then you have another parameter. And what we're doing for this search right here is we're saying, hey, I want you to show me every URL that you have indexed on your Google search, and I want you to show me everything that has this. That means that there's going to be parameters within each of these URLs, which is a gold mine for you to search for things like cross-site scripting, maybe look for something like a SQL injection, SSRF, and so on. And another thing you can do is you can actually looking for the keyword name, and in some cases it may give you something that has a parameter within it. Maybe you've seen that parameter elsewhere, and you can actually look for it and pull it up and see if it's vulnerable or anything like that. So these again are a really good place to play around with the values that come out and see how they look, and maybe play around with them and see if you can actually find some sort of a valid vulnerability and kind of reporting it to the program. So the whole objective of this video is to kind of show you how you can use Google and kind of get creative on looking for particular titles, looking for particular extensions, URLs, or titles, or whatever it is that could potentially become a vulnerability for you. So when you see a new target, or if this is your first time hacking and you're like, hey, I want to hack IBM, I want to hack Spotify, I want to hack one of these programs that I recommended to you guys in the past videos, and you don't know where to start, Google is honestly one of the best places to kind of find leads and narrow down your focus on things that matter and you want to work on. All right, I think this is a good place to stop for this video. Let me know down below, what did you think? Do you already use Google, or are you not sure how to use Google? Is this helpful? Let me know. Do you want to see more videos like this? And if you're going to use this and find your first valid vulnerability. Before I let you go, you gotta do me a favor though. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, drop a comment, and if you haven't already, I do have a Discord channel. The link is down below in the description. Come join us. I'm doing some really cool automation there to give you data on particular programs you can hack on. So if you don't want to do any automation, don't worry, I got you. Come to Discord, hang out with us, and I will see you all in the next video. Peace.